The Neverending story is an imaginative, colorful, touching book with a pretty unique perspective because the book is talking to Bastian at times and you're reading what's going on with Bastian, and sometimes Bastian doesn't know that it is him that the book is referencing to, and then you're also that person that is reading the book, but the book acts as if you're in it as well. It's very trippy and it's great. It's very imaginative because of that, and it's a pretty unique perspective, and it's just mind-bending. It's a masterful work of fiction. I listened to this book in the original language, which is German, and the reader was just fantastic, especially doing the voices of the characters. I've heard that this is a kid's book, but definitely it is not just for kids. It's very much like Disney movies, because as you grow older, you understand certain messages or perspectives or jokes better, and this book is the same way. I feel like as you grow older, you're going to understand this book in a different way, and that's what makes it an amazing book. I absolutely love the rebellious, irreverent Rita Mae Brown. This semi-autobiographical work of hers is one of the most fun, witty books I've ever read. You can't help but want to be as courageous and true to yourself as Molly Bolt is. Something I love is that Brown does not sugarcoat the consequences of being openly, unapologetically queer in the historical context of mid-20th century America. She also has very insightful comments on poverty and gender inequality, especially at that time, but I think they still hold true in the 21st century. I am a fan of Neil Gaiman's, and this novel of his in particular, because it's so deliciously dark and it takes you to this parallel world in the London underground. This is a genius work, full of suspense and just pure feats of imagination. You are irrevocably transported into the world of Dor and Richard, and you don't want to come out of it. It's so immersive. What I like about Neil Gaiman's books in general, and this one in particular, is that a lot of the times you begin the journey of the book very confused and without much context. So basically, the book starts with an action-filled sequence, and you, the reader, are a clueless bystander. You don't know the context, nor the laws that rule this world, because obviously it's a fantastical world that is ruled by laws other than ours, right? There's magic in it, and dark magic sometimes. There's creatures that we do not have in this world. And I just like how you have to trust the writer to take you and to make you understand what's going on. And Neil Gaiman always delivers, and especially in this book. If it was possible to read a painting, I think the experience would be very similar to reading East of Eden. This epic novel has it all. It has breathtaking descriptions, it has interesting characters and a complex storyline. I read this book a while ago when I was 16 years old, and I read it in Spanish, so I cannot remember many details, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of John Steinbeck's witticisms might have been lost in translations, although I don't know because I have not reread it yet, although I'm planning to sometime in the near future, hopefully. Even though I read this book so long ago, I still have the feeling fresh in my mind of amazement at what could be conveyed with words. The beauty of the prose has stayed with me for all these years, and it was a clear proof of what writing can accomplish. I don't think any other book has gotten to me at such an emotional and psychological level as this unassuming and unpretentious book, which in its pages hides a work of art, the art of understanding people, what makes them tick, family dynamics, the contradictions we live with and find peace with. I devoured this book in a day and a half. I couldn't get enough of the stories and the characters in the book. I was entirely invested in the joys, and for that reason, the sorrows also hit incredibly hard. The message that is illustrated time and time again in Fragrant Tomatoes is life isn't fair. Bad things happen to good people. We are mortal. We will die someday. And we're also imperfect beings. And yet, life can be beautiful, especially when there is human contact, human intimacy, and just that warmth of human relationships. That is what the book is about, and I think it's the book that best conveys this aspect of human life, just human relationships and the nature of humanity. In such a simple work with such simple words, there is no highbrow writing in this book, and yet it conveys all these complicated, complex truths that we understand sometimes only at a gut level. But this book just puts them in the page like no other work I've read.